How's it going, YouTube? My name is LBNinja7, your resident Mistweaver Monk and favorite WoW healing YouTuber. And guys, we are back now that there are a bunch of changes coming to healers in 10.2. You guys love this format of how I display the changes coming in new patches, as opposed to just a traditional tier list, because it shows it's more like a power ranking. So we're back with another one of these videos. I am super excited. Now, for those who have not seen one of these videos in the past, we have 3 scales for each class. The Raid and the Mythic Plus are just going to be how positively impactful the changes for 10.2 are going to be on each of those forms of content. So those will be based on how much power the changes are bringing to those forms of content. Now, the fun category is kind of just how much do these changes impact how much fun the class is. So how much fun are they adding to the playstyle of the current class in 10.17? Now, I love doing these because a tier list is seeing how well they stack up against each other, and those predictions are almost never correct. But these predictions are, although they will be biased, I will try as hard as I can not to be biased and be as objective as possible. Just how much strength are they bringing to the raid? How much fun do I think the player base of that class is going to have playing it versus now? This is just a good way to stack up each class against their current self, and I really like doing it like this. Now, before we get into the video and before we jump into the first class, I really quickly want to say thank you to those of you who came out to the 12-hour live stream. It was my first ever 12-hour live stream, and you guys made it so special. We had such a blast. We were able to down some bosses as a giant Mistweaver army, but if you guys missed it, if you were not able to come out to the 12-hour stream, do not worry. I am working on editing a bunch of videos from that stream, and you'll get to see all the highlights, all the good content from that stream. It was just a ton of fun, though. Thank you guys so much. And the names on the screen are my Patreons. These are the people that make this channel possible, so thank you so much to these guys. Y'all are the best. Thank you so much. Let's go and get into it. Guys, we gotta start off with Mistweaver Monk. I know most of my viewer base is their Mistweaver mains, so let's just jump into it. We're going to be talking about the tier set very briefly. I know you guys have read all these notes before. I will also have them linked down in the description if you want to go more in depth, but we're just going to be touching on all the changes per class. So the 2 set is absolutely insane. It'll basically increase your healing on most targets in a raid, or almost every target, if not every target in a Mythic Plus environment, by 50%, because you're going to be applying every time you Renewing Mist or it jumps to a new target, you're going to be applying this buff that just buffs your healing. It's insane. It's going to be very good. Like I said, in Mythic Plus content, just making healing a lot easier in that content. And then the 4-piece is just, it's going to be so much fun. Okay, it's going to be very strong, but so much fun. It basically stores up 15% of your healing on any target that has this buff, and then after a few seconds, that healing will pop and heal people. It'll split the healing around you. So in a Mythic Plus environment, this is going to be very powerful because it's going to act kind of like how Druids alter the wildfire. I have no idea, but that ability that Guardian Druids have right now, that it just kind of every now and then you'll just pop a big burst heal around to the whole entire Mythic Plus party. That's kind of what this is going to have. That's the effect this is going to have in Mythic Plus. So it's just going to be super powerful. It's very easy to blanket Renewing Mist in a Mythic Plus environment. And then in Raid, it's just going to be extra healing that you don't have to really focus on. It's just going to happen. As long as you're doing your rotation, it's just going to happen. You don't have to change how you think, how you cast your spells, who you put your spells on. Very good changes. And then we are going to look at these changes right here. Life Cocoon getting buffed, honestly, doesn't really need to happen. Soothing Mist being buffed, it's going to feel more impactful. This is a single target hot, but it kind of is how we channel into a bunch of our other spells. So it's just nice to see it get some love. But then a couple of big talent changes. Now, the Vivified Direct Healing is going to be very good in Mythic Plus. Since you're choosing one target to heal, it's going to be very powerful in Mythic Plus. And then the Invigorating Mist changes is kind of like the big thing that everyone's talking about. This is how we cleave our Vivifies onto multiple targets. Whoever has Renewing Mist will also get healed by a set amount. Now, they're increasing how much it heals by a quarter, but they're also reducing how many it heals beyond 5 targets. So this is kind of how we were just blasting big AoE healing in raids. So people are kind of scared. How much is this going to be reduced? How much will this affect our raid healing? But our Mythic Plus healing is going to be just sitting right and pretty. It's going to be very nice. But in raid, this could affect us, and hopefully it does, because this playstyle is just, in my opinion, just very boring. But once again, we're keeping opinions out of here. But other than that, another Clouded Focus, another raid nerf Ancient Teachings, quality of life improvement, excellent. I just did a key yesterday where Warlock stood out in Narnia and I just literally could not heal them unless I broke my immersion, broke my playstyle, my groove, and healed them. So this is excellent because it'll stop those instances from happening more often. This talent point change is just amazing. I cannot stress to you guys how much we are just very hungry for an extra talent point, and having that access to that right here is amazing. So super excited about this. All in all, Mistweaver changes are excellent. A big net positive. We're going to go ahead and start filling this in. Our raid healing is going to be as is with our two-piece tier set. It's going to be absolutely insane. Now, I don't know how much that Invigorating Mist change is going to completely nuke our healing. I don't think it will, but a lot of people are kind of like doom and gloomers thinking it will. But in Raid, our healing is going to look excellent, especially if you're able to optimize your Renewing Mist count and just play the rotation optimally. You're still going to see insane returns because of that 50% healing bonus on most target. Now, our Mythic Plus, like I said, the quality of life improvement from Ancient Teachings just having a longer range is excellent. It's just something that we've been kind of asking for here and there. We haven't really been loud about it, but they've heard it. Somewhere along the line, they heard it. But then also our two-piece is just going to increase our healing, make the healing a lot more easy to do in Mythic Plus environments. But then our four-piece is going to be absolutely insane in Mythic Plus. I am super excited for how strong we're going to be, and I hope these numbers in Raid don't get our Mythic Plus counterpart nerfed, kind of like they have in the past. So I'm giving it a full 6-star in Mythic Plus. And then, but as for fun, one thing that people have been asking for is for a big change to our tier set. They want tier sets to be, to work with our Rising Sun Kick or one of our damaging abilities, just to draw more power to those, even though they're already super powerful. But they keep buffing like random HOTS or random casted heal abilities. Here, they're buffing Renewing Mist or adding to Renewing Mist, which is already just a rotational thing. At least it's not changing our rotation or making us play a completely different playstyle. So I'll give them ups there, but I don't think that they added a ton of fun abilities. I think some of these other healers you're going to see just got so much more. But in terms of power level, I mean, Monk is probably getting the biggest sweep in power level increase of all the healers. So I'm super excited, but I'm reluctant to put this 6-star or this sixth square here for the raid build, because I just don't think that the two-piece, that number, that 50%, I've heard it's definitely getting a nerf, but yeah, stay tuned for that. So this is probably what I'm going to lock in for Monk. Like I said, I try to stay as unbiased as possible, but it's just hard. It's hard not to have my opinions in here, but also I do think the Mythic Plus is going to be very fun. People are going to enjoy that healing, especially with the 4 set. It's going to be super sick. And then also just in Mythic Plus, 10-1-7 Mythic Plus Mistweaver is already super fun. So just adding these bonuses are just going to take it to the next level and make it super powerful, because it's already just like right there, right at the cusp of being strong. Now, the best part about these things, I really want to quickly say, the best part about these graphics that I do is if Monk gets a 6-star and Paladin gets like a 4-star, that does not mean that Monk is more powerful than Paladin, because this is not a tier list. I'm not putting Monk above them on a tier list. It's just saying how much power they're gaining. They are gaining 6 stars worth of power in their Mythic Plus, whereas HPal might, I haven't gotten to them yet, but they might be only gaining 4 stars worth of power. So that's why I really like these infographics more than tier list in a lot of cases. All right, up next we've got Holy Paladin. Now I have their tier set and their changes pulled up, and guys, brace yourselves. So Holy Paladin summer is basically over. These changes are gross. So they're getting a net, just an overall healing decrease. They're getting their 2 casted abilities. Imagine for us Mistweaver players, if they just buffed like Enveloping Mist and Vivify, then which I guess they kind of just did, but they're getting their 2 casted heals buffed, which is kind of like not what the community is asking for. It's taking a lot away from their fluidity of playstyle. Daybreak now restores less mana per glimmer that you consume, which is where you just kind of snap all your HOTS or dots out that your Holy Shock applies, and you just get a bunch of mana back per however many is consumed. And before you were able to get quite a bit of mana back, but they're doing this, you'll see, because of their tier set or just because they're really trying to watch mana consumption. They want every healer to struggle equally with mana, like some of the more mana hungry classes do, like your Mistweavers, your Disc Priests, your Resto Druids. I guess Mistweaver not really anymore, but Reclamation now restores less mana. Glimmer of Light, it just gets a blanket decrease per target. It just basically amped up however many targets you had it on. Now it's 4% instead of 6%, but they're buffing the damage by a blanket 10%. So all in all, just like net nerfs. Outside of these, because these weren't really set in their rotation, they're gonna be now, which kind of sucks, and not a lot of people asked. It's basically making this like Paladins are probably going to be leaning toward a caster playstyle, just which is super weird. If you guys play Mistweaver, you guys know it's just awkward playing a melee healer as a caster playstyle. It's just awkward. Now let's look at the tier set. Guys, you blink, you might miss it, but when Glimmer of Light dissipates or is refreshed, so when you just reapply your Holy Shock to a single target, which you do a lot in Mythic Plus content, just putting it on your tank a couple times in a row, or you use your Divine Tool, it hits the same target twice, or you're just DPSing one person and Holy Shocking them over and over, it's going to create a reverberation on that target to heal or damage an enemy. So just basically like a second little hot or dot over 8 seconds, and you can stack up to 3 times these dots, so you're just going to get a lot more damage, a lot more healing. And I've heard that this actually does quite a lot of healing, so I'm excited to see this played, and it would be very cool. It might be a little annoying having to track multiple hots or dots. You're going to feel like you're playing like a feral druid, I guess, with all these dots that you're applying in Mythic Plus, but overall this 2-piece is actually kind of sick. It gets a thumbs up from me. 4-piece Daybreak cooldown is reduced by 15 seconds. That's it. Now, if you have played Holy Paladin, you know that Daybreak is, let's see, where is it? It's down here. It's down here on your talent tree. It's all the way at the bottom, so you have to, one, commit to this line. You have to commit to this side of the tree. What if, like in Mythic Plus, what if like this build was good, like this half of the tree was good? Well, no, if you want to even have a 4-piece, boom, you got to go here. Now in Aberrus, they buffed this spell or this spell slot here. Either if you took the Holy Prism or Light's Hammer, that was what your tier set buffed. And it was kind of weird, it buffing just like a random talent in the middle of your talent tree. But you know, a lot of the other healer specs kind of had that issue, or just had that where it's not really an issue. They just buffed something in the middle of the talent tree. You just had to swerve a little bit if you needed to, if you wanted to gain that power to take it. But what if you just didn't take Light's Hammer or Holy Prism? Then you're just missing out on your tier set. But now imagine if you just don't come down here and take Daybreak. It's just horrible. They're basically just saying that you're gonna want to play Daybreak, and regardless of what cool or content you're in. Now it's kind of that's kind of a bad way to put it, because they already were. It's just now you're just locking that in, just saying that there are less builds that you can run of Holy Paladin. You basically always need to take Daybreak, and that's kind of just lame. Honestly, that's just lame, and it's just super lame. Reducing the cooldown by 15 seconds. Come on. You guys could have like added something. Now, I do get it. This will snap these and make all of these leave behind Holy Reverberations. You're going to be getting mana back every time that you do it. So having that on a 45-second cooldown as opposed to a minute, it's like cool. It's nice. But for a 4-piece, like, come on. Just like add a talent node. That's what this talent node should be. Rising Sunlight's a sick talent, but just add it into a choice node. Your Daybreak now is reduced to a 45-second cooldown. That's a talent. That's not a tier set bonus, is what I'm saying. So let's hop on over here to our amazing professional Photoshop, and let's go ahead and rank these. So in Raid, look, the power level is sad. They're getting nerfs, a lot of nerfs to their healing, especially in Raid, but their tier set is going to be powerful. It's a shame to say, but Daybreak is a very powerful button. All those reverberations are going to equate to a lot more healing, but just it's hard to kind of determine how much it's going to be offset by all those sweeping nerfs. The Flash of Light and healing, Holy Light healing increase, those are not going to completely just buff their overall raid healing a ton. It's just, those are just like basically quality of life, making their shock healing outside of their actually Holy Shock and Word of Glory healing, making that a little bit stronger. But it's just, like I said, it's not going to just sweepingly buff their raid healing. So Raid, it's gotta go with a 3. It's one of the more disappointing changes. In Mythic Plus, the reverberations are going to be pretty sick, and Daybreak is going to be more of like a, you can just pop it as a DPS cooldown because you have it way more often in a Mythic Plus dungeon. However, just no, like, nothing sexy, nothing amazing changing, and that is why they're getting a 2 in fun. I think those reverberations are going to be very fun, and just playing around Daybreak will be more fun for a little bit, but it's going to get tiring. And then I can already see it halfway through the tier. You're going to hear a lot of complaints from Paladins just saying that it feels just like Aberrus Paladin, just like with a little bit difference. So overall, just kind of disappointing changes from Paladin. Now, we've been asking for them to nerf Paladin, so it feels kind of bad putting them like this, giving them negative rankings or bad rankings. But we've been asking for them to nerf them, not just like put yourself in the shoes of people who are just diehard Paladin players, and they see like Disc Priest, Mistweaver Monk, Resto Druid getting all these flashy changes, which, spoiler alert, coming up, and then they just see their changes and they're just like, do I just like take this tier off? It's just not going to be fun. So I really feel for my Paladin friends, but I've spoken enough about it. Let's go and move on. Do I know how to use this? Oh my goodness. Let's move on to probably the most exciting one, Disc Priest. Spoiler alert, Disc Priest looks insane. So let's go and jump into these changes. Now, they have probably the longest list of changes of any healer, but they're all amazing. So I'll just kind of brush through some of the more broad strokes. So Schism was this, it was basically a dot that you put on an enemy, but you had to cast it. And for the next few seconds, that enemy takes more damage from you. So with Disc Priest, how it works is you would just ramp up, you'd apply your atonements to every ally, and then you'd apply your Schism, you'd enter your Shadow Covenant, and then you'd start your damage rotation, hoping that your atonements didn't fall off. You can use things like Evangelism to extend them, but it was just very clunky. I mean, you can imagine they're very starved for global cooldowns, so that's why they rush so much haste, so that they can fit it all into that little ramp. So they've really, really addressed that, and I am super excited to talk about this and to play with it. So Schism's basically been removed. Not really removed, it's now a passive talent. You don't have to waste a global cooldown in your ramp to apply it. However, Mind Blast, which is one of your DPS, your main big slamming DPS buttons that you would use in your ramp to actually cash in on those atonements, it now just applies that debuff for you. Now, they did change Mind Blast. They did now make it have a 24-second cooldown, so it's not going to be as rotational as it was. It's not going to be in your main DPS rotation. You would press this button all the time since you had 2 charges on a 9-second cooldown. Now it's going to be more like that's your cooldown. That's you basically play around that. You try to ramp up every 24 seconds or so into that. So I really like those changes. I really like that. They've also changed Shadow Word Covenant. That was basically how you become your little shadow form. They basically attached it to your little pet that you summon. So you would summon a pet, it would just damage your enemy, and it could kind of just like cleave off your atonements too and do more healing while it was out. You could also make this thing give you mana back. So it's just a really cool spell. And they've also really tried to push it a bit. They gave it this ability to, whenever you use one of your big damage buttons, so your Mind Blast, your Shadow Word Pain, or Death, which is your execute heal, whenever you use that on a target, while your fiend was out, it would like basically dart behind them and slash an AoE around them. So a really cool thing, but it just wasn't even taken. It honestly was not taken, but now they've added penance to that. So penance is another one of your DPS buttons. So just a big quality of life improvement all in all, because your ramp is going to feel smoother. Now your pet summon is going to feel more impactful, because that's where you're gonna become your shadow form basically. So just all in all, amazing improvements. But they've also just changed a lot of things. You guys can go through and read all of these, but one of the biggest things that they've done for Discipline Priest, let's go and get into it, the new talent, Ultimate Penance. So they have taken a lot of power away from one of their other main abilities. So let's find it here. Their power word barrier is where you put, it's called Dome or Bubble. You guys know this ability. It's where they put the big ring on the ground and anyone in it was taking a quarter less damage. Very important for Prog a lot, and Shadowlands especially, because this just kind of pushed the content further. How much content can you survive? How many hits can you survive now that you're taking a quarter less damage? But now it's being moved to a 5th less damage. So taking some power away from that. And then adding in a new ability, Ultimate Penance. This will now be another just major cooldown that they have. So a massive change, just giving a class a new major cooldown. Excellent in my opinion. And just wait till you see this, guys. This ability is sick. So their new ability, as you know, Penance is an ability that you can channel on an enemy or an ally. If you channel an ally, it heals them. An enemy, it damages them. Well, their new spell is called Ultimate Penance. So let's just go ahead and see it. This is me. Just watch this visual. It is visually probably the best ability in the game right now. I hope it works. I hope I don't have to be in a party with anyone. But look, you just become this giant Archon and you shoot penances to everything. Now it only shot it to the dummies and the damaging dummies, but in a raid it'll shoot it to everyone in the raid nearby you and shoot one at the boss or any adds that the boss spawns. Now you can imagine if you get your Mind Blast off and apply Schism, so now that enemy is taking more damage, and then you go up and you cleave off the boss, hitting all your atonements while also shooting penances at all of your allies. It's going to do so much healing, but all in all, just a sick ability and easily the best change that's even happening to any healer currently in 10.2. But then they just got a lot more changes. They're increasing penance. They're changing how atonement works. They saw that the atonement change, the buff that they recently did, was really strong in raid, changing it for 32 to 40%. So what they're doing is they're reducing that back down in raid, but then making atonement healing 50% while not in raid, or increasing it by 50%. I don't know if this is just making it into a 48% or if it's making it 50% in Mythic Plus, but just an all in all great change. Overall, the changes to Disc Priest are easily the best. So let's go and talk about their power level. I mean, come on, they're getting a new ability. Now, losing a bit of power to their barrier, they're going to be okay. I promise you. Their ramps feeling smoother, allowing them to get more damage off during their ramps is going to be amazing. I am super excited to see their power level just blast through the roof. I'm excited for Disc Preseason. I hope this power level is correct because it looks like they're going to be insane. Like I said, Ultimate Penance is super sick. We didn't even talk about their tier set. That's how amazing they are without even talking about their tier set. So their two-piece, Smite and Penance, damage is now increased by 20%, and that stacks on top of the damage that Penance is already getting. And Smite extends the duration of an Act of Atonement by 2 seconds. Now, an Act of Atonement, this is basically going to be more, it's basically going to be better in Mythic Plus because one atonement being extended by 2 seconds is just going to be a bigger improvement in 5-man content than in 20-man content. However, in raid, it's just you're going to get more healing out of this, especially if you're nowadays with Mind Blast now out of your rotation. Now it's more of a cooldown. You're going to be spamming Smite a lot more often. So spamming Smite, you're just going to be extending your atonements, even if it's just one at a time. Still, just all in all, just Penance doing more damage with Ultimate Penance. Everything super sick two-piece. Now, 4-set, Smite has a 100% chance to cast an additional time during your Shadow Covenant, dealing shadow damage. An insane change. So you summon your little pet, you become a shadow form, you start spamming Smite. Now you're going to be shooting a healing or a holy and a shadow smite at the enemy. Both of those, if you take Sanctuary, are going to reduce some of the damage they do. So just all in all, an excellent change. Just making Smite spamming feel better, feel more impactful, because Smite spamming was kind of lame before, but now it's just going to be amazing. All in all, like I said, sweeping improvements, amazing. I don't know why I still have the pink on. There we go. Raid, excellent changes. Mythic Plus, excellent changes, especially with the Atonement changing. And then in terms of fun, they are the clear winners of 10.2. Ultimate Penance is sick. The rotational improvements are going to be very much more beginner friendly. This is no longer going to be like the ultimate hardest healing class to play. Now it's still probably going to be up there, but it's still just going to be a lot easier than it was before. A lot of people are going to be swapping to this class, so if you are one of those people, good luck with your raid slot, but this is going to be super fun. Yeah, Disc Priest, clear winner of 10.2. Let's go ahead and move on to their counterpart, Holy Priest. You see them down here? Yeah, they aren't as exciting. You know, we just came from Disc Priest. Now we're talking about Holy, and guys, it is literally night and day, which I guess is kind of like how they designed it, but I didn't think they meant like this. So let's go ahead and talk about their tier set. So Holy Word Serenity now will apply a renew. So this is their spot heal Holy Word. Applies a renew for 14 seconds. And then your Holy Word Sanctify, which is the AoE ground ability, will now apply 5 seconds of renew to its allies. So you're going to be applying hots to your allies, and it being renew will actually play off of your 4-set. So Renew's healing now has a chance to cause your next holy word, Sanctify or Serenity, to not consume a charge or to not go on cooldown when cast, and cost 50% less mana. Now, I am not a fan of the has a chance to. I wish they said how much of a chance, but I also just wish it was just guaranteed. I don't like RNG playstyles. I wish you could just like, I wish it was a very low chance, but once you got that chance to proc, then you could press the button knowing it wouldn't reset the cooldown. However, I don't really like this 4-set, so not a very good 4-set in my opinion. Well, it might be strong, but not a very smooth or player friendly 4-set, I should say. So Holy Word Serenity's healing is increased. This is their spot heal, and also flash healing is increased by 40%. Once again, they are kind of trying to give them just more of a spot healing identity in Raid and in Mythic Plus. They want them to be the spot healing class, which all in all, I like. When I play Holy Priest, I play them to be the spot healer, so it was kind of lame pressing just a bunch of AoE spells in Raid. I never did like Holy Priest in Raid, so I think this is going to be good for their immersion or the identity that they're trying to give them in Raid. But then also Holy Word Salve, which is their major cooldown. Its cooldown now is only reduced by 15 seconds instead of 30 seconds whenever you cast your Holy Word Serenity or Holy Word Sanctify. So these are your two healing holy words. You can reset their cooldown with certain spells and then reset your salve's cooldown with casting these two. So having that nerfed is going to be really good because you were seeing Holy Priest actually do really good throughput because they got so many salves off in a fight. Now, this is like a 12-minute cooldown, but the fact that you can reset it so much was kind of getting out of hand. It was kind of just like, okay, we need to calm down a bit. So this is a great change in terms of the power level that they get, but I'm sure the Holy Priest community is not very happy about this, and it only gets worse from there. So as you know, Holy Priest had a really chiseled in raid slot. In fact, 2 raid slots in the Race World First pushes because of Symbol of Hope. It was just such an excellent ability, and they're really kind of gutting it. Not really gutting it to the fact to where it's like unplayable now, but just changing it really badly, I should say. So Symbol of Hope, how it works is you basically give all your healers some mana back, and you give everyone in the raid cooldown off of their defensive. So you tell everyone, hey, use your Fortifying Brew at this moment, and then our priest is going to Symbol of Hope at this moment. So then you have your defensive up a minute sooner than you would before. However, now instead of giving your healers back 15% mana, you're giving them all 10% mana. I wish it only affected the Holy Priest as a Mistweaver myself. However, yeah, just giving your other healers a lot less mana. Look, I'll cry tonight about this, but for now, I recognize that it's probably a positive change. And then the cooldown reset, look, this is just, I mean, you were seeing just very organized groups were able to abuse this, whereas in pug groups, this ability was just so night and day from its counterpart of itself in an organized group. So this I am very happy to see. Hopefully this takes some strength out of Holy Priest and kind of opens it up. I want to see a Resto Shaman in Race World First. I want to see like a Mistweaver, a Resto Druid, Resto Shaman, Holy Paladin group, or like I want to see some like different things other than just 2 Holy Paladins, or I'm sorry, 2 Holy Priests, a Holy Paladin, and then insert other healer here. So all in all, these are great changes. And then their Divine Star and Halo healing is decreased. These are just more AoE healing buttons that they had afforded to them. Now these are only being decreased for Holy Priest, not Discipline Priest, as far as I'm concerned. So I am fine with that. But yeah, just not a fun day to be a Holy Priest main. Now also your AoE Holy Word Sanctify, which is where you put a ring down, it heals up to 6, now 5 allies in that ring. Yeah, it just sucks. They are really hurting their AoE healing and really trying to just nail in that identity as a spot healer. So all in all, as someone who doesn't main this class and just plays it for fun every now and then, I'm happy because I think this will increase their Mythic Plus strength with their single target heals while nerfing their AoE healing in Raid, and then nerfing their AoE or their Raid utility. So all in all, let's go and rank these guys. In Raid, they are losing so much power, it's not even funny. Yeah, we just got to put them as a 1. This does not mean that they are worse than all these other spells, once again, or all these other specs. Once again, it just means that they are not gaining a lot, if any, power in Raid. in this next tier. Now, in terms of Mythic Plus, their spot healing is going to be a bit better. Their AoE healing is still going to be worse, but spot healing is what makes them good. It's just, like I said, we're just not in a time where spot healing is very good in Mythic Plus. It's not what makes a healer strong. It's their AoE ability to top up everyone as soon as possible. So all in all, not good, except for their tier set is actually pretty solid. But let's go ahead and talk about their fun. Look, their 4 set is pretty bad for the rotation. I just think it's going to make things clunky. They're going to have to just spam flash heal a lot more, which a lot of people did not like in Shadowlands. So I'm going to give it a 2. I just think they are not gaining anything super fun other than just their spot healing is going to be more impactful. But other than that, it's just... this is just not a fun time. This is not a fun patch to be a Holy Priest. Look, you had your time in the sun. You still might be at the top of the meta, but you're just losing a lot of power, so it's just hard to give you guys more, squares in terms of fun. All right, the priests are out of the way. Let's talk about Shaman. So Shaman's tier set, look, it is very disappointing. I'll go ahead and spoil it. This is not a fun time to be a Shaman either, in my opinion. So your 2 set, your chain heals, your healing surge, and your healing wave. So your single target heals and your chain heal will mark their target. Whoever you actually cast, they have that there, the initial target, because of chain heal. So whoever you actually cast this spell on, you're going to mark them with a buff. And then they're going to receive 15% of all the Riptide healing, which is your hot that you apply to everyone. So you're going to have a lot of Riptides out. So they're just going to be receiving 15% of all those Riptides. They're going to funnel into that one person. Now your 4 set is your Riptides healing is increased by 15%. So that's really good. Your hot's going to be increased by 15%. We've seen that Riptide can do a lot of healing in raids. If Riptide is active on the same target as the person that has that buff, so if you see that you have a Riptide on someone and then you chain heal off of them, which is something that you do a lot, but it does consume the Riptide, I'm pretty sure, because of the talent that you do that for, its heal over time effect has a 10% chance to basically spread to a nearby ally. So you're going to be spreading your Riptides a lot. So all in all, it's a nice, powerful tier set. However, the rotational dependency or the rotational changes that this tier set will cause will make the playstyle a lot more clunky. Now, instead of just casting chain heal on the lowest target in your raid group, you're going to probably cast your chain heal just on your tank and hope that it cleaves onto the lowest healing or the lowest health target. That way you get more value out of that tidal reservoir. So all in all, just like a very clunky tier set. So Shaman, yeah, it's very weird. Like I said, they're changing a lot of things about mana. So now Mana Spring reduces less mana, which is just weird. And then Healing Stream healing is increased, Healing Surge healing is increased, and Healing Wave healing is increased. These are nice. This is going to help their spot healing a lot. However, Primordial Wave replicates a healing wave at 40% effectiveness instead of 60%. So like I said earlier, they're doing a lot of nerfs to AoE healing and really pumping that into the single target healing. This is basically going to take the amount of casts that your raid group healers take to top up a whole raid. It's going to take it and just amp it up. So hopefully they give us more time between big slams of damage to top people up because of all these changes. All these spot healing abilities are now going to just be more impactful than the AoE counterparts. And then that does not stop there. Cloudburst Totem now only accumulates 20% of your healing done before you press again, and it pops and reverberates that to everyone around you. Now it's going to do 30, or it was 30%. Now it's only going to do 20%. So just another big AoE healing nerf. Ascendance, which is how you copied your healing done on targets, it's now only going to duplicate 80% of the healing as opposed to 100% of their healing. This was a very powerful button and a lot of Shaman's favorite button to press. Now it's just going to be a little less impactful, but all in all, it's still going to be very strong. Now, Mana Tide Totem, this one is gutting. I hate it. It's not really gutting in terms of power, but as a fellow healer that used to heal alongside rest of Shamans, it's now only going to increase your mana regen, or people around you's mana regen, by 80% as opposed to 100%. So this, along with this final change, Resurgence now restores 20% less mana. These are just big, like doubling down on the changes that they said they were going to make. We're changing how healing regen works. We're going to give healers a lot less mana than we did last year, so they have a lot less to work with. They're going to have to be more mindful of their mana bar and smarter with their mana, but we're also nerfing our AoE healing and redirecting some of that strength into our single target healing. All in all, like as a resto shaman, I would not be happy because you have not been very strong this tier in any form of content. I mean, you were pretty good Mythic Plus, but in Raid you were just like down at the bottom of the totem pole. Let's be honest. So all in all, not very fun. In terms of fun, yeah, they did not get any like sexy abilities, any big changes, and then their tier set is just going to change their rotation, and in my opinion, in a negative way, or basically how you think. It's just going to add mental strain and mental bloat. And it's just, like I said, just not going to be a fun time to be a shaman. The class is still fun. However, the changes are not adding on to that fun. In fact, it might be actually taking away from that. Now, in Mythic Plus, their single target healing being increased is probably going to be a net positive. It honestly will. Their tier set's going to be a lot more easily managed in Mythic Plus content. So in Mythic Plus, they actually are probably gaining a lot of strength. But in terms of Raid, they're losing quite a bit of strength. I do think the power level of their tier set is going to be there. It's just going to be kind of frustrating having to, select who you actually target with your chain heal. Thinking about how they're going to get healing in the future, it's just going to be weird. So all in all, not really a fun time to be a shaman, in my opinion. So let's just go ahead and move right off of that, because shaman, there's just not much to talk about. They're not changing that much. But then there's druid. So let's go ahead and jump into their tier set. So as you know, in 10.1.7, they received a new ability called Grove Guardians. It's where you spawn a little tree ant next to you. They heal alongside you, and you're going to see a lot of changes coming around that ability. So their 2-piece says that basically you and your Grove Guardians nourishes, let's be real, it just reads, your Grove Guardians nourishes now heal 2 additional allies within 40 yards for 40% effectiveness. So your little Grove Guardians are now just going to be healing more, which is nice. Very big quality of life. This is very excellent in Mythic Plus, because now those Grove Guardians are going to be spot healing someone while also cleave healing someone else. So very good change there. Very cool tier set. I love the Grove Guardian ability already. This just buffs it, makes it stronger. Now, clear casting causes your regrowth, which clear casting is when every now and then you'll get a proc where your regrowth is free and stronger. Your regrowth is going to also cast a nourish on a nearby injured ally for 200% effectiveness, and it's going to prefer people with hots. Now, nourish, you don't ever want to cast it yourself, like hard cast it. However, having one for free is excellent, especially because it's a spot heal, a big spot heal nuking heal, and at 200% effectiveness, it's going to be excellent, especially if it picks a tank. It's going to pick them and do a ton of healing, and especially if they have a lot of hots on them, it basically, I think it triples the mastery effectiveness, so it's just going to heal for a big chunk. So this is actually sick. It's going to really incentivize you to cast your clear casted regrowths as soon as possible and as often as possible. So all in all, a very cool tier set. Now let's go ahead and hop into these changes. Now there are so many changes, so I'll try to simplify them a ton. So they're getting a lot of things done to their Grove Guardians. So the nourish healing is decreased because it's gonna, like I said, it's gonna be cleaving with your tier set, but they're getting a sweeping healing increase by 30%. So they're just adding a lot of power into this ability. So all in all, very good. It's Swiftman healing, which is what they spawn in and cast once, is reduced by 20%. So your immediate impact of pressing this button will be lower. And then you can take a talent to make them also spawn in and cast a wild growth. That will also be reduced by 20%. So their immediate impact is not going to be there as much, but with your tier set, the longer they stick around, or the more that you have out, you're going to really feel them while they're out there. It's just not as soon as you press the button. Now, they're also replacing Circle of Life and Death, which is kind of like a loved and hated ability. It just makes all your hots and dots tick faster. They're replacing it with Liveliness. Just basically a name change, let's be real. Your damaging effects are still going to deal their damage 25% faster, so your dots are going to fall off faster, but they're going to rot away faster. And your healing over time now effects, now instead of 25%, it's just 5% faster. So they're really nerfing that in a sense with their like raid healing. Imagine having 30 hots out, they're all ticking 25% faster because you just have a talent. It was really powerful, so they're really kind of gutting that in terms of how much healing it does, while also not really hurting the damage that much. They're also doing some big changes to reincarnation. So now, incarnation, basically the button that you press when you become a big tree. Now it also empowers your wrath, causing it to do more damage and be instant cast. So now they're adding Wrath to the list of buttons that it buffs, but they're also making it to where your Tree of Life now spawns little Grove Guardians. So when you press it every 10 seconds that you're a tree, you're going to root up trees to fight alongside you. It's just going to be awesome. And then whenever your trees fade away, they're going to reduce your incarn, you becoming a tree by 5 seconds. So all in all, big sweeping changes. But that's not even the end of it. There are so many more, but we're just going to talk about these few because these are also very important. So Luxuriant Soil, which is how they basically spread their rejuves very easily, is now going to be decreased. So it's going from 1.5% to 3% down to 1 to 2% chance to jump to a nearby ally. All in all, very good. I mean, they were just able to get so many free rejuves from this. So just nice to see it kind of brought down a little bit. Now their regrowth, which is their single target heal, it's getting a big buff. It is getting a huge buff. You basically spot heal someone for a little bit, and then it leaves a tiny, tiny hot on them for some amount of time. The initial heal is getting buffed by 1/5, and then the hot effect getting buffed by 42% is just excellent. This is just going to add a lot of power. However, you're going to see it's kind of going to offset with one of the changes they're making later down the line. So Rejuve healing is increased. This is the hot that they spam out. This is going to offset them losing their current tier set, but also you're going to see that they're taking power out of their cooldowns and adding it into their constant steady throughput. And this is what that change is basically coming from or going into. And then same with this, they never really buff Wild Growth too much because it's an AoE healing ability. They said they weren't going to buff too many AoE healing abilities, but like I said, they're taking a lot of power out of their cooldowns, adding it into their throughput, and Wild Growth is a way to do that. Another big change is one of their single target Mythic Plus healing abilities is getting increased. Cenarian Ward is a massive hot that you put on your tank, basically. It just getting increased is excellent for their Mythic Plus healing, allowing them to just do more damage. But then Swift Mid healing is also seeing a big buff. So a lot of spot healing, a lot of steady throughput healing increases. Now let's talk about the big AoE cooldown nerfs that they're receiving. So Inner Peace was a talent that you could cut your Trank from a 3-minute cooldown. Now it's just going to cut it down to a 2.5-minute cooldown. We're going to see this taken a lot less. And then Flourish, which is how you basically extend all your hots. You basically spam, this was their ramp ability. You spam a bunch of hots on your party, and then you press Flourish to extend them. And when you press Flourish, it's going to make them tick faster and harder. Now this ability is just absolutely getting gutted. So it's now going to extend them by 6 seconds instead of 8 seconds. Already much worse. And then instead of doubling their tick rate, it's now only doing it by 1.25 times. So it's just a massive nerf to Flourish, which is a 1.5-minute cooldown. So I like seeing that. They're not going to ramp up as much and as hard in those 1.5 minutes, but they're going to be doing more steady throughput. So I think it's all in all going to give them that identity back while also not kind of like stepping on the toes of Disc Priest and nowadays Mistweaver Monk of being the ramping classes. So all in all, these changes I think are excellent. Now, if you're a fan of the ramping playstyle, I'm sorry. I just don't think that the general player base really likes ramping playstyles. In terms of the raid, it's probably going to be like a net even. You're losing a lot of your 1.5-minute cooldown ramping ability, but you're gaining a lot of constant power. I mean, the Grove Guardians are going to be very powerful. I'm excited to see how they do. So I'm going to give it a 4 in raid just because Flourish was a big part of their rotation, a big thing that they played around. Now you're just going to do a lot more healing, but mana might get tight. So it's very hard to give them more than 4. Now, in terms of Mythic Plus, they're seeing some great changes. A lot of damage increases, a lot of single target spot healing increases. I am excited to see how Druid performs. I think they were kind of underperforming coming from season 1 into season 2. So it's going to see them kind of, we're probably going to see them take a higher seat in the throne in Mythic Plus than they were in season 2. So I'm very excited to see how this performs in Mythic Plus. Grove Guardians spawning them out and then going into balance form, letting those things do the healing is going to be really sick to see. So I'm excited to see them do that. And I do think they do gain a lot of power with their tier set and just all the changes that are coming, especially all the positive buffs and not playing around Flourish. They already weren't taking that in Mythic Plus, so it's just a net buff for them. In terms of fun, dude, if you're a fan of Grove Guardians, this is a 6 out of 6. However, if you're not, it's probably a 4 out of 6. So we're going to meet in the middle and say 5. So the Grove Guardians being super powerful, being now just very A very big, impactful part of their rotation is going to be sick. If you're not a fan of Incarn Tree of Life already, once again, sorry, but it's also going to be just getting massive buffs. Losing power to Flourish, a lot of people are going to hate that, but it's still just a good cooldown. It's still going to be strong. It's going to feel like a 1.5 minute cooldown instead of like a 3 minute cooldown on a 1.5 minute cooldown. So all in all, we're going to put it here at 5 stars and fun. So Druid seeing very positive changes. And now let's move on to Preservation Evoker. This is the last class that we're going to look at, and it's a very short one. This one will go by quick. Let's go ahead and jump into it. So Preservation, they're 2-set. Your empowered spells, so your Dream Breath, your Breath of Fire, all those things are going to cast a Living Flame on people that they hit. They're going to be weaker, but they're going to cast a Living Flame. So if you Dream Breath, it's going to hit a couple of your friends. You're going to also Living Flame them. If you do your Fire Breath or Breath of Fire, I forget which one it's called, you're basically going to apply a Living Flame, just doing a little bit more extra damage to them as well. So all in all, a pretty cool ability. I like their 2-set, but it's also going to play very well with their 4-set. So Living Flame, including these that you're just going to get for free, they're going to have a chance to apply an echo, a fully powered echo on the allies that you heal. So your Dream Breaths are going to hit them, your Spirit Blooms are going to hit them, and you're just going to have a chance to apply an echo. Now, it's going to be weird having this RNG element. I'm always, like I said, not a fan of these. However, it's just added power for free, basically. So you can't complain there. The only difference is they were really playing around your Dream Breath. So you would apply echoes with your sphere, your little sphere that you shoot out, and then they would Dream Breath, and that Dream Breath would also hit your echo targets. So it's going to be weird having your Dream Breath Living Flaming and then applying some echoes. And then what spell are you going to do to capitalize on those echoes? So it's going to be weird. It's going to be kind of awkward rotationally in Raid, but in terms of just adding damage to your Fire Breath, it's going to be pretty sick. And then also it can't duplicate or hit someone that already has an echo. Now let's get into the changes. Like I said, not a long list. Your Spirit Bloom healing, which is just one of your AoE healing abilities, is just increased by 25%. This will be nice because they're actually going to gut an ability that was big in their AoE healing before. Living Flame healing is increased by 20%. That's also just going to be good with their tier set, but also it's going to make your filler spell, your filler healing spell, just more powerful. I like that. It already feels kind of crappy pressing this button because it's such a long channel and it just doesn't feel that impactful for a spot heal. But now this is just going to bring it a bit more in line while also not buffing its damage. Verdant Embrace, which is another single target heal, a massive single target heal that is very risky because you put yourself in danger to press this button. It's seeing a massive buff. So just once again, buffing their spot healing. I like these changes. I like all the spot healing changes. Now, Resonating Sphere, that one that you'd shoot out and it would apply echoes. It costs a ton of mana to press this button. Now it's getting gutted. It's going to be 60% of its current power, which it was already nerfed before, I think down from 6. So just a really bad nerf. I don't think they're going to take this and raid anymore. This might finally be the nail in the coffin, but you're going to be getting so many echoes from your tier set. So I think they really want you to play around those echoes and not get them confused. Just limit the amount of echoes you get. So all in all, I love this change, but I know the player base is upset about this. But I just think this ability is super lame and costs way too much mana already, but it's just so powerful in its current state. So I like seeing this nerf personally. But if I'm putting myself in the shoes as an Evoker, I can see why they're upset. So all in all, these changes are the main ones, but they're not gaining like too much power. I think in Mythic Plus, they're going to gain a little bit of damage from the free Living Flames, but nothing like exceptional. They're not gaining anything major from like any new talents, any new buttons, but gaining a little bit of damage from their Fire Breath. Now applying Living Flames is going to be kind of sick. In terms of raid, it's going to take a lot of hard carrying from their 4-set to offset the Resonating Sphere nerf. So once again, we're going to go three stars. I think if their 4-set really does come in clutch and they're able to really capitalize it and that chance is high, it could go up to a 4 or 5 star. But for now, it's just safe putting them at a 3-star. Their 4-set is, like I said, just going to have to carry that nerf. Now, in terms of fun, nothing's really changing. Let's be real. I think it's going to be fun to see more damage numbers, more yellow numbers are going to scratch a little brain itch when you Fire Breath. But just nothing fun. No rotational changes that are fun. If anything, ones that are negative, making your order in which you cast your empowered spells different is just weird. So in terms of those changes, that's what we're looking at for Evoker. So now let's zoom out and kind of look at the overall changes to all the healing specs. So overall, you guys can see a clear winner in this patch. Disc Priest is excellent. They've really hit the nail on the head and killed it with the changes there. Monk looks excellent, but I really think it's a lot of it is power. Not too many fun changes coming, so I would like to see some of that power taken off and just, give them a new button, like a new damage button. Something like that would give them a big boost in terms of fun. Holy Paladin, Resto Shaman, Preservation Evoker, Holy Priest, they are the clear losers of this tier. A lot of nerfs hitting them, a lot of identity shifts, and in terms of Resto Shaman, they might be gaining some power, but their rotation is just going to feel a little clunky. And then, like I said, Druid and Monk are right there behind Disc Priest in terms of just what is gaining the most coming into 10.2. So guys, that's going to do it for this video. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I love making this style video, even though it's just me messing around in paint and trying to not be biased. It is hard to stay unbiased in these videos. So I hope that you guys appreciated it. And I hope that you guys agree with me, because then that would make me feel unbiased. But if you do disagree with me, just let me know down in the comments. What did I get wrong? What did I just completely skim over or just not mention? Like in the Druid, I know I missed a lot of talents, but I promise you I read them and just, highlighted the main ones, the big shifts. But I tried not to make this video too long. So guys, if you like this video, make sure and hit like and subscribe on your way out if you want to see more of me. And if you want to help me on my dream of becoming a full-time YouTuber, that is the best way to do that. So make sure and hit those buttons. And like I said, comment down below if you agree or disagree, or what are you excited about the most in 10.2. But guys, that's going to do it for this video. I really appreciate you stopping in to the channel. Once again, huge shout out to my Patreons, and thank you so much for coming out to the 12-hour stream. I really like doing events like that, so I hope to see you guys in those in the future. But once again, subscribe on your way out. That's the best way to catch me. And go ahead and check out the links in the description. I have my Patreon if you want to join these people on the screen right now in my Patreon. Or if you want to join my Discord, make sure and click those. But guys, thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and call it because I am dying of thirst. But I'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, take care.